My name is Ahmetagic, based out of Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm a financial advisor here at Root. I love how dynamic my job can be in a given day. I can do so many different things. Obviously, there's a lot of different elements to financial planning, but I can be working on something really complex for part of the day. I can be dealing with numbers, and that speaks to that side of my brain. But I also really enjoy and get a lot of emotional fulfillment out of just having those normal, purposeful conversations with people where we talk about what's most important to them. We talk about what are those next 3 to 5 year goals? What do they look like? And I get a ton of enjoyment out of a client sending me a picture of them on a trip that they've been talking about for a long time, or if they buy their dream car. I celebrate that to the greatest extent that I can celebrate that with them, because ultimately that's a lot of what we're doing here. We're trying to create more of those moments, those memories for people, and knowing that you're a part of that, especially if it's something that starts out as a plan, it's on the internet, we're sharing it on Zoom, and it turns into something that you get to experience in reality, and we have a role in that conversation. There's nothing more rewarding than that. My philosophy on financial planning specifically is that you should always be engaging in a process of redefining what is important to you. Because once you can put a pretty good definition on that, it really makes the decisions for what you do with your Roth conversion strategy or what you do with your portfolio much easier to make, because you're not guessing at what kind of outcome you might or might not get with these different strategies. You really have a purpose-built plan that's centered around what exactly you're trying to optimize for. And when you can answer that question, it makes the rest of those decisions a lot easier. One thing that I think sometimes goes by the wayside is people change in retirement. People retire at 60 or 65 or younger than that, and they might be a different person at 70 or 75. They almost certainly will be. They're a different person at 55 than they were at 30. So that plays a major role in what you end up defining as success and what a successful retirement looks like at those different stages of life. So when I say redefining what is important to you and making that a deliberate process, it's because it will change. And the plan that we create today is not going to be the same plan, that it's not going to have the same kind of meaning that you hope for it to have 10 years from now. There could be a lot of differences, and managing those differences, making adjustments over time is how you help people get the most life out of their money. I was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, and went to University of Kentucky for undergrad, and then University of Cincinnati actually for graduate school. So I've kind of lived in that triangle most of my life, and we don't have any plans of living anywhere else, although we'd love to go visit with friends, lots of different places. Money was very prescient in my family. I'm the oldest of 3 boys. My parents are immigrants from Bosnia, and they have been self-employed basically most of my whole life. So money was always a thing that was always in motion. Things were changing a lot. It was often a stressor in a lot of different ways. And some of my earliest memories around money are in banks with my parents, sometimes translating things, sometimes just there for the sucker they give you at the drive-thru, which is always a treat. I have a huge sweet tooth. So we're a multi-generational household as well. I have my grandma living with us as well. And that made it feel like a pretty big family at times. And I was grateful for that experience still, but for the most part, it was, that was our little pod. I want our conversations around the things that you want your retirement to look like to feel like getting coffee with a friend. We probably have very different life experiences. We probably have very different backgrounds, and we'll certainly have very different futures, but I want that conversation to feel like we're both engaging in a discussion that you feel like you're growing from. And one thing that's really scary about retirement is that you are in some ways changing your identity. You're becoming maybe a little bit different from what you were before. You're not going to have a job title to tie yourself to. And so what else does that next chapter of your life look like? What else do you add or take away that is really meaningful? And how do we get there in a way that's not abrasive to your emotions, your how raw you might feel over the decision? Are there things holding you back? Are there other people in your ear? Can we come to an agreement? Can we build a lot of confidence in your plan to let you experiment with things? Can we try something new or something you've wanted to do for a really long time that you've been afraid to because you've been lacking that confidence? So I want that conversation to be unabrasive. I want that conversation to be like we meet on a Sunday morning at 9 o'clock at your local coffee shop and hang out. If you value someone who's willing to listen and explore with you in this next phase of your life, then I'd love for you to reach out to me and start the conversation.